Hello. In today's demonstration, I'm going to be showing how I can easily take an Excel spreadsheet that contains over 10,000 street addresses and rapidly geocode those addresses to a new shapefile in the latest version of Simple GIS Client. In fact, as you'll see in this demonstration, we'll be able to geocode these street addresses in under 20 seconds. To begin with, I've loaded the latest Street Atlas dataset in my Simple GIS Client application as a base map. This is the offline dataset that allows you to rapidly geocode street address information completely offline. Now that I have this loaded in my map, I'm going to come to the Add Data as Layer tool button located in the upper left corner of my application window. As I click on this tool button, I'll notice I'll get a new dialog box, and I need to go and select the Import Excel or CSV Data menu button. At this point, I'm going to select the Excel or CSV file that contains the street address information. Once I have that selected, I need to make sure that I have selected the radio button Import by Street Address here in the center part of the dialog. I'm going to accept the default file name for my new shapefile that it'll create. I could click on Save to File to select a different file name if I so chose, but I'm just going to accept the default for this demonstration. And so now I'll simply click the Import Data. And at this point, I need to select the worksheet from my Excel workbook that contains the street address information. And finally, it's going to ask me whether the first row in my data set contains field names or column names. In this case, it does, so I'll select yes. And now I simply need to configure the street address information. So basically, I just need to let Simple GIS know which fields contains the street address information. In this particular spreadsheet, I have 4 columns or 4 fields. I have one that contains the address number, so I'll select this, add that under my address fields. And then I have a second column for the street name. So I'm going to select this, and I'm going to add it to my address fields as well underneath the number. And finally, I have also a column for the city and a column for the state. So I'll select city first, and I'll configure that as a city field. So I'm just simply clicking on the field name and selecting the appropriate button to reference that field for the different type of address information. And now I'll select state, and I'll set that as my state field. So at this point, I'm ready to geocode my addresses. And I have this stopwatch application loaded so we can actually time this operation as we click on this. So I'm going to click apply to begin the process, and I'm also going to start the stopwatch. Here I can see the total number of records in my spreadsheet was 10,139. It is now submitted all 10,139 to the batch geocoding engine. And here you get the status of the current process. So it just actually finished the geocoding process just under 20 seconds. And here I have, it's now presented this layer property settings for the new shapefile that will be adding as a layer into our map. Here I could change any of the settings if I wanted to for the particular layer. I'm just going to accept everything that's set as default and click apply and close dialog. And it also gives you the result page of the geocoding process. So you see that it processed all 10,139 addresses. It found matches for 10,135 for a success rate of 99.96%. Now this particular data set I had very clean addresses. Your match rate may not be as high as this, but in any case, it gives you the addresses that it couldn't find a match for here in this table below. And at this point, you can try it and match these by editing the address, or if you want it to match by a city or zip code, you could do that as well. So hopefully you see how fast the new geocoding engine is in the latest version of Simple GIS Client. This provides a great method for users to geocode their address data sets completely offline. You just simply download the latest version of the Street Atlas dataset to your local computer. Once downloaded, you can use it again and again and geocode your street address information completely offline. And of course, you saw the speed of the operation as well. If you would like any more information, I encourage you to visit our website. That website is Simple GIS Software, all one word, simplegissoftware.com. Thank you.